Hi, I'm Brett Parker, Multimedia Specialist for Snack Food and Wholesale Bakery. And today we're showcasing Greyston Bakery, a company based out of Yonkers that not only crafts brownies with natural ingredients, but also provides job opportunities for those who faced employment difficulties through an open hiring policy. Here to discuss this is Kevin McGahren, President and General Manager of Greyston Bakery. Kevin, thank you so much for joining us today.
More than welcome. Happy to be here.
So could you tell us about the initial inspiration and formation behind Greyston Bakery?
Sure. It's a pretty interesting story. The company's actually about 40 years old. It was actually founded by a Buddhist monk who actually grew up in Brooklyn, went to NYU, got a math degree, went out west, worked in high tech, got into Buddhism, and decided to leave his career, come back to the New York area and start a Zendo, which is where Buddhists gather. They started baking brownies to support themselves and then realized they need more help. They started inviting homeless people in to help them. And then they realized that was really their true mission. And they kept expanding from there. And as they were doing that, providing basically employment and some livelihoods for some of the local homeless people in Riverdale and Yonkers, the fellow's named Ben Glassman. I recommend looking him up. It's quite a colorful background. He met Ben and Jerry of Ben and Jerry's ice cream. And the three of them said, well, we're making brownies, you're making ice cream, let's kind of collaborate. So they started supplying the brownies for Ben and Jerry's. And then the business really boomed from there. And then what they've been able to do since then is provide jobs to people that really have barriers to entry. So formerly incarcerated, homeless, mental issues, addiction issues, immigrants, you name it. And that's what we're still doing today.
What do you think makes your brownie product so special compared to similar products on the market?
Well, it's a good question. Ultimately, what we've learned being a mission-based company where our primary goal is to create jobs for people, in the end, you have to have a great quality product. So we primarily compete on quality first, price, and service. And if you don't provide a great quality product, I don't want to say nobody cares about the mission, but it's very, very secondary. A lot of people have great stories and great purposes, and we really have to compete on great products. And so we have great recipes. I have two CIA, Culinary Institute of America trained R&D people on staff who are just great chefs. And it really is about, just combining the ingredients in a different way that make them extra special. We think we have great products.
So you mentioned about the open hiring policy in which you provide training and work development for people who've had difficulty finding employment in the job market. Can you go a little deeper about that inspiration behind it and how exactly it works?
Sure. And it is a bit of a sad challenge within this country that there's a lot of biases against anybody who's coming, particularly out of prison, even though they've served their time, they've been deemed, safe for society. Most cannot find jobs, and 70% of people formerly incarcerated live below poverty levels. And obviously, a lot of people end up having to turn back to crime because it's hard to make a living. And so what really Bernie Glassman started and we've continued is really no questions asked policy. So we don't ask for a resume, we don't do a background check, we don't need an address, we don't do an interview even. We literally just have a list, and off of that list, we hire people when we need them. We have probably about 130 people right now, including about 40 or 50 in management, and half of the management also came from open hiring. They've moved up over the years. Now, the key is it's not a guaranteed job, it's a guaranteed opportunity to a job. So a lot of people don't work out. You still have to show up, you have to work well with others, you have to be able to learn and whatnot. And for many people, that's a great path. For a lot of people, it's not a great fit, but it's a chance to start. And it's really that first opportunity at a job that we find then puts people on the path to potentially get a job somewhere else if this isn't the right fit.
So you mentioned the bakery's collaboration with Ben and Jerry's on a chocolate fudge brownie ice cream.
Mhm.
What did that collaboration teach you guys about food creation and business in general?
Yeah, it's a really good question because there's a little bit of a parallel path there in terms of Ben and Jerry's and their story about them starting their own businesses. They really did want to have also a social mission. First was great, making great ice cream, but then showing a company could be a voice for good and a force out in society. And I think they've stayed true to that mission, even though they're now owned by Unilever. And Ben and Jerry are still very involved in the business, even though they're not owners, they're still out there advancing social causes and really using the ice cream platform as a way to advance social missions. And I think for us, we've found a similar way in that really food is so central to everyone's life. Everybody's involved with it and everybody cares about ingredients and whatnot. But if you can add this extra level of meaning to it, it really does carry much more weight in people's lives. And so I think there's a little bit of a parallel, and that's created a great partnership between us and Ben and Jerry's over the years. So not our only customer, they're our biggest customer. We also have other great customers like Whole Foods and Cava restaurants and Emirates Airlines that we found share similar values. And that's what we found overall is important going forward.
Well, if there's a baking company that wants to be more charitable and community oriented as your company is, but they don't know where to start, what advice would you give to them?
Yeah, very good question. I think it probably starts with your immediate community and your immediate surroundings. And in our case, Yonkers, Southwest Yonkers is a bit of an economically challenged area. So that was really the first mission. How can we be involved? And then the second is your employment base, your workers. They're your team members. What's important to them? And really, in our case, the community and our workers kind of go hand in hand because if we can provide jobs, opportunities at jobs that support not only people, but families, that drives a connection to the entire community. And so really, I think overall, that's the core of the meaning. I think every business needs to be a great community partner. And if you start there and expand from that basis, I think it makes a lot of sense.
Well, if people want to find out more about Greyston Bakery, where online can they go?
GreystonBakery.com or Greyston.org. We are a for-profit company owned by a not-for-profit foundation, either one of those sites. And you also go to YouTube or anywhere like that, you find a lot of great videos about some of our baker stories, which are really quite inspirational. I really recommend that as well.
Wonderful. Well, that's all the time that we have for today. Kevin McGahren of Greyston Bakery, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it as well.
And thank you all for watching.